first of all, virtual is the way to go now. Nobody's going to the office anymore. So if you cannot actually project your emotional intelligence on the phone, or while trying to talk to a colleague and get your team members to do things, you need to rethink that. So these are basic for 2020. But I found this journal, and I felt that there were a few things there that were quite valid as add-on to what we have been told as to what we need to do in 2020. And I just want to touch on the few that I highlighted. Novel and adaptative thinking, for instance. What exactly is it? So there are 10 skills here, but I'm touching on like 5, like I said, or 4. So what is adaptative thinking? Ability to be innovative, right? Ability to come up, straight on your feet with innovation and ideas, and not just innovation on paper, following it through, being cost efficient and cost conscious about it. As we know right now, businesses all over the world have been challenged. And that is the truth. Whether you're in oil and gas, or you're in projects, or you're in engineering, or you're in FMCG, the world is being challenged. So the question is, while earning salary, what value are we going to contribute? And this is what brings the practical question. What are the opportunities you have identified for your business as an entrepreneur or your workplace due to COVID-19? And what are you going to do about it? Would we say, well, nobody has told me to contribute, and maybe when we get there? Or would you actually, nip it in the bud and present your findings, your thoughts to your manager, to the executive board, to whoever? That is novel and adaptative thinking. And I'm going to tell you in a few slides why this is important in 2020. The other thing is about cross-cultural competency. Now we know about intelligence quotient, right? IQ. We know about EQ, emotional quotient. And in the past, if you were high on IQ, Einstein's of this world, you would get the job, especially for psychometric tests and all these things. You will scale it. Organizations still use it. It is very good. Emotional intelligence also came into the picture, and that is the ability to be mindful of your own emotion and that of others. Like I said, that is very critical now. So now we are talking about cross-cultural competency. And what is that? It is basically cultural intelligence. And it is not just the knowledge of, I know Indians and their nuances, right? Or I know Chinese. It is more about your ability to adapt based on cultural intelligence, right? And basically, when it comes to cultural competency, you have to actually experience it. It is not something that would be handed over to you and you proudly display in your CV. You should be able to actually learn about it and then say that, okay, for instance, working in Ghana, this is how you can break into the Ghana market, right? If you're looking to expand your business and you need me on board, this is how I believe you can break into the US market based on cultural nuances that you have mastered. So this is one that is very key. And why is it key now? Because the world is a global village. The next one is new media literacy. I'm just going to go through this fast. New media. Without talking or emphasizing about this too much. New media is now the world of work, basically. Nobody's sitting in an office anymore. And I think I touched about on this at the last meeting. How are you adapting? Are you still complaining and saying that, well, meet me on Outlook? Which Outlook? Outlook is just for emails. There's a meeting on Skype, on Teams, on Slack, etc. How would you make yourself available to learn about new media? And if you're already there, then pass on that knowledge. If you see a colleague or a team member struggling, pass on that knowledge, because that is exactly what we're talking about when it comes to collaborative spirit. And then, of course, design mindset, the ability to challenge complex problems. There are problems everywhere. And like I said, with COVID right now, organizations are also changing at a very rapid rate. So if you do not think about issues sometimes, you would rush into projects, and then at the end of the day, it comes back as a total flop. So it is important to, with that design mindset, more like Scrum or project management, be able to actually design solutions and ensure that people are able to key into it, ideate, the process, and get your key stakeholders to buy into it. And then, of course, last but not least, virtual collaboration. You sit in an interview in the past and you ask a candidate, so tell me about your team playing skill. They go on and on. I sit on this board, I talk to colleagues here, blah, blah, blah. Now it is all virtual. I haven't seen my colleagues in 4 months. We are all talking virtually. So how do you use your personal brand? How do you ensure that work gets done through you and through other people? So these five core skills are really add on to what we already know, i.e., emotional intelligence and all whatnot. And if we do not take anything away from this session, the interviews of 2020 would ask us, how have we, first of all, been able to adapt to the new working style? And secondly, what else? What else have we done with this adaptation? So these are the five skills that we need to reflect on as we go through, our readiness for career change, career scaling, upscaling, or whatever it is. Next slide, please. Okay, so to the CV. I know in some clients it is called resume, in other clients it is called CV. Resume basically is a one pager and it's just an outline of your life. As we know, curriculum vitae is a life document. That's what it means. So a resume is making it a bit collapsible into the key elements of your journey, your career, your academic journey, volunteer journey, and all that. So make it simple, make it crisp, and except specified, right? Except you've been asked to drop a resume or you've been asked to drop a CV, please be sure that you know what is being asked of you. Don't drop a 5-pager document when all they need from you is a resume, a 1-pager or a 2-pager. So it is important that we don't assume. I've only highlighted a few things that I believe are key as add-on for our CVs and resume in 2020. Keep it simple as always. Inject e-learning, virtual session, e-learning. What have you done? Because I tell you now, with artificial intelligence, recruiters are not going to be spending time going through one CV or the other. It's all done in the system, and we know all the softwares already. So how would you ensure that you tailor your CV or your resume to the demands of the new world of work? One key buzzword right now is virtual learning, virtual facilitation, virtual coaching, whatever it is that you're doing currently. Please ask yourself, how am I projecting the virtual style in it? And that needs to come in your CV. I think I reviewed a friend's CV about 2 weeks ago, and we talked a bit about this. It had to be there because the nature of her role also entails that they need to know. So with COVID, how has your coaching career changed over time? So this is key. It is very key, whether you're in engineering or wherever you are, pardon me. Additional responsibilities. I think this is very important. With the new world of work, there are a lot of things are coming. Sometimes you feel swamped. 8 to 5 is not the regular anymore, or 9 to 5, like the Americans will say, right? So you work based on the demands, and sometimes you can even work up to 2 a.m. And in most cases, you find yourself, doing things above and beyond your job description. These are additional responsibilities. Ensure that they are being projected in your CV or resume. Spotlight your key skills. We've spoken a bit about the new skills that you need to reflect on for 2020. But beyond that, what are your differentiators? I've seen a few CVs where people say, okay, ability to work under pressure. Which pressure? We are all pressurized right now. And I tell you, I can promise you, if a hiring manager sees that, okay, this is one out of maybe 1,500. And I kid you not, because in a place like Africa, where unemployment is above 10%, right? It is basically about what differentiates you. So when we look at key skills, first of all, bear in mind artificial intelligence. Secondly, bear in mind the fact that, okay, about 1,000 other people also have MBAs, international even. So what is new? And this is where the skills need to come in. If you're looking to apply for a job, for instance, in Dubai, right? So what's the style of writing in Dubai, and how would your CV project that? You need to know. If they need you to break down your work experience into granular terms and all that, you've got to be able to do that. All right. Hyperlinks, CVs, please. Your LinkedIn account should be in your CV, and your references. So we are doing this call right now, and if you're going to be speaking or participating on it when it goes on YouTube, why not put it on your CV? I mean, these are references. Remember, your CV is a live document. Don't be humble about your CV. Don't say, well, when they call me, then I'll talk about it. No. put it there in your CV. Of course, while mindful of page numbers and all that, we don't want an essay or a novel. But at the end of the day, there are some key things that need to be in your CV. What about your addresses, references? Someone asked me about 2 months ago that, okay, do I need my references on my CV? You know, the Nigerian lingo, available on request, right? I think it's nice to say available on request, but I tell you that there are names that will open doors for you. I tell you. And it's not so much about politics. It's just about, celebrating the people you know. I could look at a CV and say, oh, wow, Professor Bamidele from UI, did you know him? And all that. It's not as if it's biased, but it just builds conversations, right? And with that, I can't forget you, basically. So why say available on request when you're sitting with 10 solid people you could actually choose from, narrow down to say 2 and put them on your CV. Please find space for references, right? And then, of course, volunteer experience. We'll talk a lot about this. I think we've spoken about it also. We've trashed it. But at the end of the day, act of service is service. Act of service, even if you're not getting a dollar, a penny, a kobo from it, act of service is service. So you're on this call, you're volunteering in one way or the other. It is service, I tell you. And you never know when it would be needed, right? So bring it, remember it is life experience. We'll talk about interview style as well, just briefly in the next slide. So these are the things that you need to consider in your 2020 CV. Please remember the ones you've been writing before, they are good, but time to now look at 2020 based on the changes. So visibility and marketability. Now we've reflected on mindset shift or change. We've reflected on what we need to do, the skills we need to bring on board in 2020, and how do we inject those into our CV. The next question is, okay, so let's talk about this visibility thing. What is visibility? So we'll shift from visibility to marketability in about 5 minutes time. And visibility is something that I know that a lot of people have questioned. It's become like a controversial topic. I'm the quiet type. I don't like to talk too much, blah, blah, blah. You've got to be visible. You've got to be visible. You've got to raise your visibility bar on LinkedIn, in your workplace, in your circle. If you're an entrepreneur, Instagram, people are selling and making money on Instagram. Where are you on Instagram? This pandemic would come and go, but there are a few things that would remain the same. And the first one is visibility. Your personal brand, for instance, right? And I say personal brand in lieu of physical impressions. Gone are the days of suit and tie, where yes, I know I'm going for that interview and I have my power Tom Ford suit, yes. And then, my everything, look button, everything all together nice, with that impressionable smile and everything. And I'm going for that interview or that meeting that I know that at the end of the day it's going to be a success. Now nobody's going to care whether you wear a Tom Ford suit or not. It is more about your personal brand, what you ooze. When they say people have a presence, what does it mean? What kind of presence do you have? So you need to be able to bring out your, and I tell people, because like I said, I hate to be fluffy. One of the ways you can actually already get on board your personal brand is by asking. Ask, don't even go too far, just 2 or 3 trusted advisors, right? That is maybe your friends or your family members. What do you think of me? I mean, it's a faith-based session, so I can say this. Jesus Christ asked his disciples, what do people say about me? Who do people say I am? That is personal brand. Oh, you are this person, you are that one. You are Christ, the Son of the living God. And that is, you need to be validated. You need to get yourself validated. And then when people tell you, I believe that you are a game changer. You just change things. You ask questions and you change things. That's a brand. So when you get those kind of comments, repeatedly, right? You put it together and you create a brand around it. When they tell you that when I see you, I see professionalism, then how do you want to use your professionalism? Because we are getting there. We are getting to that point where your personal brand would actually precede you. And this will be virtually. It won't be physical anymore. And then, of course, edge your LinkedIn visibility. Don't just go on LinkedIn to check, okay, do I like this one? I'll like it, I'll comment as I like. Please participate on LinkedIn. LinkedIn has a population of over 6 million people. Who are the people in the industry you're looking to get into? Who are the people in the field you're looking to cross over to? Who are the people that you need to follow critically because they inspire you or you want to be like them? Get them on LinkedIn and participate. Publish, right? Our minds, I mean, as human beings and social beings, we are very interactive. We want to share, we want to talk every time, right? Put it on LinkedIn. Share your thoughts, right? Share your thoughts and engage. I've talked about volunteering, and honestly speaking, this is the year. Get on board opportunities to volunteer. Never mind if it costs you. And costing you doesn't mean money, it will cost you time, it will cost you effort, but volunteer. Because when we move to marketability, we'll talk about why it is important for you, especially if you are green. If you're a greenhorn and you do not really have experience, you need to volunteer. Be present and participate virtually. That is visibility. You need to participate. First thing I tell people, look, if that meeting doesn't concern you, or if you're not really going to have a say, you can leave and do something else. And I'm being honest. Because you sit in meetings, you're not talking, and maybe a senior leader is there looking at the participant. Why is IBK not talking? Please, if you have nothing to really contribute, or maybe you can actually excuse, because every opportunity at a meeting now should be used to air your view. And sometimes they would ask you, what do you think about this? It's not because they want you to really say, but they're doing a knock knock on your mind to say, hello, are you there? Speak up. So please speak up, participate at meetings. You know, there's presenteeism and absenteeism. Absenteeism is when I don't show up. I'm physically or virtually not there. Presenteeism is I am just buying time. I am doing the work. I am there at the meeting. I'm muted with my video shot, and then I'm doing my WhatsApp or whatever it is. That's presenteeism. So you need to be deliberate that every opportunity is a door to be visible, because you never know who is listening. So connect as much as possible. And then, of course, in 2020, how do you raise your visibility? Career sponsors. And I know that we've had this a lot. Get sponsors. You've got to be visible. You need a mentor, you need a coach, whoever it is, get a sponsor, right? I'm going to leave the coach and mentor topic, but I really want to talk about sponsors. Remember in Genesis, right? The story of Joseph. When it was time for the brothers to sell him, right? One of the brothers spoke up. I think it was it Judah, that, okay, guys, let's not sell him, okay? Or let's not kill him, rather. Let's not kill him, because what are we going to say? So let us do this and that and send him off and sell him off to the Egyptians. In a way or the other, that's a lesson on sponsorship. Because at the end of the day, he was able to stand up and speak for his brother. So my question to you is, while you're not in the room, who is speaking for you in 2020? When those decisions are going to be made, and organizations are going to be making decisions this year. It may not be all gloom and bad and all that, but there are career decisions that are going to be made about you. So who is going to speak for you? Beyond your manager. Beyond your manager, get career sponsors, senior leaders, right? If you're an entrepreneur, right? And you're like, okay, so I don't work in the office, I have my business. Who are those in your industry? Who are those? I mean, who is that? Who is within that sector where you're looking to get into, to break into, maybe as a caterer, as an artist, or whatever it is? Who are those people that you need to connect with in 20? Those are your sponsors, because they are the ones that will also help you to see things beyond what your manager can tell you in the framework of performance management. So you owe it to yourself. Please identify one or two career sponsors in 2020, because it is sometimes sad. And as HR, I believe that we know this. This is a very familiar story. You're at a performance meeting, for instance, right? And it is just your manager that is speaking about you. The others are like, okay, we don't really know this person. Yeah, we know he's fantastic on your team, and but yeah, I think this is a charming guy. He's a great guy. In 2020, please get a career sponsor. Ensure that, and how do you connect with them if you're wondering? Ensure they know what you're doing. You're not making noise, right? You're only sharing, basically, right? You've come up with a fantastic idea or something that is niche, basically, right? Connect with them, collaborate, sell yourself, basically. You're a brand, remember. So if you connect the first point with this one, you're a brand. So sell yourself like Coca-Cola, basically, sell yourself. Quickly to marketability, upskill, right skill, go skill, whatever is you need to do, skill up, level up, like I said in the first slide. Just level up, basically. And I know, especially for women in this climate, and even men, I mean, it's not easy working from home. How many things can you do in 24 hours? For people like us who do not really even have nannies anymore because they have to travel because of lockdown and all to be with their families, how would you cope, right? So by the time you're done at maybe 12 a.m. or 1 a.m., when is the time to check Udemy or LinkedIn or whichever for courses and all that? I can't tell you how many sessions I've bookmarked. I'm being vulnerable because I like to be authentic too. But at the end of the day, we've got to keep our eyes on the prize to say that this personal brand will not grow itself. What do I need to do? If you are eyeing a coaching certification or something, get on board. Get on board and just do it. For me, I have an exam in a month's time. Yes, I am committed to that exam. Am I reading? Am I serious? I'll give it a pass. But I know that I have to prepare. So every time I wake up, even if it is 1 hour or 45 minutes, I know I have to put in the time, right? So please take in that personal responsibility. I tell colleagues, don't wait for your company. And if you're an entrepreneur, talent is not enough. Oh yes, I'm skilled at making croissant and baking and all that. What is going on Food Network and everywhere? What do you need to learn, right? So please upskill, upskill, upskill. This leads to the gig economy because it's here already. What's the gig economy? It is job on demand, basically, in simple layman's terms. So all the certificates and the PhDs and all, at the end of the day, it is going to be pay for service. Pay for service. So how do you want to prepare yourself for that kind of economy? And I tell you, the Generation Zs that are coming, they are the gig generation. They don't want to be tied to any contract, right? So please, let's not be old school because they will tell us, oh yeah, you're old. Can you imagine? As young as we are right now, someone will come in maybe 10 years' time and tell you, and now I think you're archaic in thinking. Please, let's not be that generation, right? So let's get on board that gig economy by doing what? Upskilling, basically. Find out the current trends in your industry or in the industry or work that you're looking or seeking to get into and start equipping yourself. Connect boldly. Please don't be humble. I've said that. Don't be shy. Connect with recruiters, with hiring managers in your desired space. I tell you, they would respond. I actually hyped a friend about a month ago, right? She saw a vacancy online. She applied for it. And I said, why don't you connect with the hiring manager on LinkedIn? And she said, I don't want it to be like maybe I want to, how it is like I want to go through the back door to say, okay, I've applied. And I said, no, you need the job, right? You love it. You believe it's like second skin to you. You could actually wake up and do it. Let him know. Tell him what you bring to the table. Keep it very short and let him know that you recognize that this will go through a recruitment process. So you're not overstepping the process, but you really wanted to connect with him to tell him how important this is for you. Guess what? She got the interviews, she got the job. And I'm not saying that connecting boldly made a difference, but being able to get away from that mindset that I can do it, I'm bold enough. And then you responded, and that boosted her confidence. So please don't just bookmark recruiters like, okay, when they have a job, I'll connect with them. Connect with them and share your CV ahead of time. Interviewing in 2020. So haven't done all this, sitting at the interview virtually now, or even physically. How would you scale it in 2020? Just one word. I know there's a lot about confidence and smiling and leaving an impression, bringing your presence and the vavavoom and everything. I beg you, there's a technique called behavioral based interview using the Lominger's competency. You can read up on it. The Lominger's competency is a range of about 70 competencies. There's no job in this world that does not find inspiration in Lominger's competency. And you find competencies like dealing with ambiguity, organizational agility, business acumen, team spirit, all sorts. And recruiters are using the Lominger's competency now within the framework of behavioral based interview. BBI is more about storytelling. That's what I tell people when I sit in interviews, right? That it is a life interview. So don't relegate volunteering experience or what you did in school or at your fellowship or whatever it is. You tell me you don't have leadership experience, but you led a fellowship for 5 solid years in the university. I mean, when are you going to talk about that? And you're like, I've not led people before. You have led people. So please read up on behavioral based interview. But what I'm trying to say at the end of the day, do not leave any stone unturned in your CV, especially when you have had that experience and it will make a difference. And I'm saying this specifically for green CVs, or you're looking to move into, you're looking to do like a 360 change in your career. So that means you're green where you're going. So you need all those things on board. And last but not least, talking about the mindset change and shift, apply anyway. Just apply. Don't second guess yourself. Apply for it. I ask people sometimes, so what's the worst that can happen? You don't get the job, right? But then you get the experience, because then you go through the interview process if you're shortlisted for it. So just apply. Fail forward. Apply for it and you never know what will come out of it, basically. So that's it about visibility and marketability. We cannot really exhaust it, but I hope that I've been able to share a few practical tips on what you need to do. So at the end, I think the key word is level up, right? In 2020, just look at how you can scale yourself. In the midst of crisis, there are opportunities. And Obama said something which I want to close with, that crises, when they are not utilized, are waste, right? There are immense opportunities in crisis. So this is a crisis. The world is in crisis, right? And I believe as believers, we have an opportunity. So get on board this wagon of opportunity and let's make something meaningful out of it towards your career and personal life in 2020. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ibuka. Oh my gosh, I gained so much. I mean, we're going to post this recording because I mean, I have to go back and listen to a lot of the stuff that she said, but basically market yourself and apply anyway, right? Your brand. So, and then she's like, no opportunity is lost. No, yes, you've done fellowship for 5 years. Doesn't mean you shouldn't put that in your resume, right? Skill up. I think that's the thing that I took most from the skill up. She had it in different ways, but basically you need to get that skill to get to your next level, you know? So, and when she was talking about Generation Z, I felt like I was like old. I didn't even know what Generation Z was. But thank you so much, Ibukun. And I know a lot of you have so many questions and have gained so much. So we're going to go straight into the question and answer session. And Ibukun is going to be answering your questions as well as our HR subject matter experts. So feel free to just dive in. So I'm going to also link up with my team member, Dalakwa, to see if we already have any questions. I know I have some questions already. So Dalakwa, do we have any questions from the chat? Feel free.
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
Thank you so much, Ibukun. That was just amazing. That was so awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, Lami, also. So we have two questions here. One is from Kemi, and the question is, how can I gain cultural intelligence experience if I'm not in a position to work abroad? That's the first question.
Ibukun, can you answer? I know you just finished, but can you answer that question for us?
Yes, thank you, Dalakwa. I absolutely thought about this when I put it out there, that okay, for people who haven't actually had international experience, I think cross-cultural intelligence is not a question of location. Actually, you don't have to actually move out of US or Nigeria to learn cross-cultural experience. I think the key thing about that is, and I'll just give a plain example to answer you. Before I came to Ghana, I'd done a lot of reading, about nuances in Ghana, business, personal, and all that, but nothing prepared me for what I saw here, right? And one thing I know is that you've got to be able to subject yourself to culture. You've got to be able to come off your high horse and subject yourself to culture. Understanding first organizational culture, right? The people culture and orientation. So it doesn't matter if you're in Nigeria or you're in the US. If you're looking to be an international expert, start learning, ask questions. And LinkedIn is a great tool. So connect with the Chinese, connect with the Indians, connect with Ghanaians, connect with everyone basically, and start asking questions about what makes their culture different from yours. Start with business, right? Just don't go and say, okay, so why the Chinese people or Indian people shake their head? No, but start with the business dynamics. And then with that, you gain trust. The bedrock of culture is trust. If they don't trust you, the group is going to be closed. I told you, you're going to be in a place for 5 years and nobody's ever going to open up, right? So while you're there, you don't need to travel. Connect with people. ask questions, right? And then subject yourself to culture. I hope that helps.
No, it's great. That's great. Can we also hear from Edith? Because I know that she's been able to work in 2 different places in the UK as well as in the US.
Thank you, Lami, and thank you, Bukun. You're such a versatile. There's a lot. So every time you speak, I learn a lot when you speak. I would say 2 things. The world is a global village, and regardless of where you're based, you'll interact with people from different cultures. So it's getting smaller, and now that we're all virtual, I was looking at the chat, there's someone from Togo. So when we talk about culture, it's also thinking through the nuances of the different cultures. And, having lived in different places, I find that, there's a commonality that everybody wants to get things done. Everybody, wants to get things done and getting done well. So one of the things you want to do, in addition to what Ibuku has said, is not only reading, but you can find out anything you want to know about a culture online these days. So you read, ensure that the people within your network are very diverse. So it's not just people from, the similar to me effect, where everyone is like you. Have people that are very diverse within your community or your network. That also helps with the cultural intelligence piece. It's less about location, like Ibukun said.
Thank you so much. That was just awesome. I gained so much knowledge. It's a world where the job market is open now, so you need to learn all these things. Do we have any more questions on the chat group? I have questions coming in from all places. Thank you.
So I have one other question, and the question is from Derarchu, and it's, when should you transition to a 2-page resume?
Oh, that's a good one. So can we have Kemi answer that, please?
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Okay. I think so of course your resume kind of goes through evolutions in my mind. And when you get to a point where you have gained experience that can be easily summarized and captured in a very easy and simple, and you don't need to prove yourself so much with so many bullet points. It's easy for you to, like, when you get to that level where it's your experience or your roles actually speak for itself, you're in that position to almost like transition into that quick summary. I feel like you should have both a short resume and a detailed resume. So talking about your quick resume that can easily be shared with someone, and then the detailed, someone will call it a CV that has all the bullet points and the stories behind it. So when you initially are contacted by an individual, or you want to reach out to somebody to just take a quick look at your experience, your quick 1-pager, 2-pager is very important to always have. Have another version that actually articulates the details that you can send as a follow-up, because your recruiter, even though I don't do recruiter on a day-to-day basis, I do recruitment on a day-to-day basis. I'm in a hiring manager role, for instance. I have like half a minute maybe to look at one resume, right? And you're reading through multiple, so you want to be able to move there, have the person reading your resume to be able to take that information in very quickly in that 1 or 2-pager, and then if they want to talk to you some more, they can go into details. The most important thing with your resume, that short resume, is to make sure that it catches their attention. It is just, captivates them to be able to say, I want to go a little bit deeper. So that's my view on that. Don't know if anybody else wants to chime in on that.
I mean, that was so great. Does anybody, I have a follow-up question to that. So I'm going to go into any, if you have something to say to that. So you said you just want to capture the resume. So you want the hiring manager to look at your resume and be like, yes, I want to see. So the next question is really, what key things or points should you add on your resume or CV, even if you're not entirely qualified for the job? Because I know people said, just apply, right? So I would say I'll open it up, but I want to hear from OG and today. So anyone can really just answer this question, please.
Okay. Hello, everyone. So first thing, when you're applying for a job, never have a generic resume, because one of the things you're trying to do is you're trying to sell yourself. You're selling yourself to, I'm going to bring this perspective so that way you will know how to present your resume every time you need to present it. So you're selling yourself to A and B company, and A and B, they require XYZ skills. However, on your generic resume, you have LMNOPQ skills. It doesn't fit. So you never, whatever you do, never have a generic resume. Your resume must fit. You see, I always tell people, when you look at a job description, the company has just told you what they want. That is what they want. So all you have to do is make sure your resume tells them that you're the best person for that skill. And how is that? You put in a salesperson's heart. And who are the best salespeople? They're not the ones that know so much about the technicality of whatever job or whatever thing they're selling. They're the ones that will make you realize that you need this product to make your life better. And so every time, at the back of your mind, every time you're writing your resume, you're developing your resume, you want to make sure that you're selling yourself. You're telling them that you have the skills, and you have all the skills, all the requirements that they need for that position. So at no point in time should you have a generic and say, oh, I just want to put this and put this there. No. If you're applying for a sales job, make sure that on that resume, you can title it sales resume. If you're project management resume, whatever, you just put it there. And so that you know that this will apply to this company, because what I need might not be what this person needs. So I might not be able to tell you exactly what you need to put on your resume, but in general, and one thing, the fact that I look at resumes a lot, one of the things that I know people do not, I'll put it this way, probably maybe they forget to put, is the summary. When I pick, and everybody has said it, I really do not have to over everything. I just want to be sure that you're best fit for this position. So I'm reading through your summary, which shouldn't be more than a paragraph. Please, people, if you have more than a paragraph, please try a way to shorten it. I'm very descriptive when I'm talking, so please ignore my hands. So try to reduce it, because all I just want to see is blah, 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 blah. You have the skills, you have the experience and all of that. And then you start selling yourself with whatever job description or what position you're looking for. So you want to be sure that you have your summary, aside from your information, your name, your LinkedIn profile, as Ibukun has said, your if you have a website where you blog and all of that, you want to put all of that there. Then you have your summary. And at no point in time after your summary, except if you're a fresh graduate, should you put your education next. Please, people, don't do that, except if you're still in school. The next thing you want to put is your experience, because that is what they're looking for. That is what whosoever that, except if, like I said, except if you're still in school, then you want to put in your school, your GPA and all of that. You want to sell yourself with that. But if you have more than 24 hours experience, you have to put it in immediately after your summary. And then you build it down that way. So you have your summary, and she has also spoken about the fact that volunteering, it is wonderful. And I'll give you a trick. One of the reasons why hiring managers look at volunteering, because they believe that if you can give yourself to something, you will be able to give yourself to your job. If you don't get paid for something you decide to do, like Ibukun, that volunteer, you cannot even if you don't, I tell people, go and get it. Go out and give yourself to someone and say, I would, even if it's just for 3 months, for 2 months, just go ahead and get that. So those are the things you also want to put there. And if you also have certifications, things that apply, please don't put things that do not apply to the position you're applying for. You're applying for an accountant, and you're putting that you're, what I can't even think of anything right now, but you're putting your sales, okay, you might need sales, but you're putting certifications or things that do not apply to that job. Whatever you put on that resume must sell you to that position. So you also want to put that, yeah, I think just those are the major things you would want to ensure that are on your resume whenever you're applying. whenever you're developing your resume, please make sure you have the job description and your resume, and make sure your resume answers the job description. That way you give yourself a better chance of being called in for an interview.
Thank you so much, Muji. Okay, so if you're having a one-on-one session with our HR SMEs, please make sure that your name is written clearly so I can put you in that group. But Moji just spoke to resumes, and if you're part of the people that are getting resume critiqued, I mean, you're in for it. So you're so lucky. I'm getting so much information just from this. I wanted to go into it. I know that Dalakwa has some more questions, so I will let Dalakwa speak because I have a few more questions, and we're going to close this part in 10 minutes. So we want to hit nuggets. Okay.
No, not at all. I don't have any more questions.
Oh,
those are awesome
questions.
tips from Moji and Kemi and Edith and Ibukun. Those are just awesome nuggets that they have shared with us. So please, let's continue with the question, Fanny.
Okay, awesome. So we've spoken about resumes just a bit. What about cover letters? So are cover letters important to a job? And so I don't know, I'm going to ask Yetunde because we haven't heard from her yet. But she was having technical difficulties. I don't know.
Yeah, I think, it's better now. Yeah, thank you. I think cover letters are very important, but like Moji said, it has to be precise because a lot of people have generic cover letters that they send out. It has to be very precise. So what I think the cover letter does is that it takes your CV and it takes the job and it links it together. So if you're talking about that you want experience in a certain area, you can use your cover letter to show how extensive experience you have in that area. So the cover letter just makes you take it a step further, but it has to be relevant to the job. So one thing a lot of people don't know is that a lot of recruiters, like Iboku pointed out, they have like 1 minute to go through a CV. So usually a CV or cover letter, when I see a CV and I like the CV, I'll go and look at the cover letter to get more of the beef of what the person has done. So it's very important when you're applying for roles, but it has to be relevant. And like I said, you don't bring in things that are not on your CV. So for example, let's say like Moji says, you did X, Y, Z, and the cover letter is saying you did PQS. It has to link. So I think what your cover letter does is that it gives your CV more of a weight and gives it and shows the connection or what you can actually bring to the role with specific examples where you can put in stats in terms of what you've achieved if you're a salesperson, in terms of, I like to see numbers on CV. Some people can say, oh, I increased productivity. You can put on your cover letter how you increase productivity, what the impact was and all of that. So I think it's very, very important for you to have a cover letter when you're applying for roles. But like I said, it has to be relevant and it's linking your CV to the actual role by providing more examples. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Yetunde. Do you, I think Kemi, you want to add something to that?
So I think the only additional thing I'll add to the cover letter piece is I think it's very important, and I think sometimes we forget it. I think it also gives you the opportunity to connect with the company itself. You know, so sometimes we are so interested. I want to work for Google, for instance. You know, this is your opportunity to kind of make that personal connection to the company so that they know that you're really interested in working with them. So because there's that cultural piece, you want this hiring manager to be able to envision you within their company. So if you're able to tell a little bit of your story, you're not repeating what's in your resume. You're not, you know, it needs to be linked, but you're tying yourself to it from the standpoint of, hey, I've read about your company, I've read about your ambition, and this is why I am the best fit for that particular job. So again, there's more to do around connecting with the organization, right? With your LinkedIn, following them on LinkedIn and all of that. But your cover letter gives you that opportunity to do that. And don't make it too detailed. Don't make it too overwhelming. Again, think about it from the standpoint of these are busy people. They're looking through hundreds of resumes and hundreds of documents, and they have their day jobs to work on. Quick and simple, to the point. Think about, you know, can I get the point if I try to read this within a minute, and you'll be making a difference.
Thank you so much. So basically what I got was that your resume is important, your cover letter is important as well. Your resume basically is your brand. So, but your cover letter shows that you can do your homework and you're selling your brand to the place that you want, right? That is so good. Now I know we have only a few more minutes and I just want to touch on interviews because that's very important as well. So now that we're having like virtual interviews, how do you do a virtual interview questions in that, that STAR? I know we all know it's like the situation, task, action, result, method. How do we do that? Can you help us out with that?
Is it me?
Yes.
So a couple of things with interviews, particularly in a virtual setting, there are 3 tips I usually give. The first is practice. There's so many interview questions on the internet. You'll find them. Practice, practice, practice. If possible, record yourself because you want to be able to demonstrate presence, particularly when you're not in the same room as the interviewers. So record yourself and see how you're showing up, how your body language and, it comes across. So that's the first piece, the practice. The second thing with interviews, Ibukun said something around the behavioral questions. Have examples. I would typically say have at least 3 examples for the questions that you're going to be asked. So it might be something around, tell me about a time where you had a difficult relationship with someone, or there was a conflict in the team, just as an example. Have at least 3 different examples, just so you're not using the same example all the time. You talked about my last point is around the STAR method. So when you're answering behavioral questions, it's about the situation. So the first thing you want to say is, as an example, if it's a question on conflict, the situation was A, B, C, D. Then you talk about the specific things that you did. So I had there was someone I had conflict with. I sent an email to them, or I reached out to them to have a conversation around the issue. And then I did A, B, C, D. And this was the outcome. Even if the outcome was not positive, this is always a good point where you talk about if this was the outcome. However, I learned A, B, C, D from that experience. And if such a situation were to occur again, this is how I would use the learnings from that. So practice, practice, practice. Record yourself if you can. Particularly with virtual interviews, you need to show presence. I always say sometimes with the telephone interview, smile. One thing that helps is dress up for your interview, because if you're not, there's something about dressing up, it gives you additional confidence during the interview. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Edith. I mean, I've gained so much because I had an interview on it. I needed to practice. So practice, practice, practice. I know we have one last question that we can take. Dalakwa, can you help us out?
Moji already responded to Stella in the chat room. So thank you so much, Moji, for taking care of that.
Okay. So right now I'm just gonna hand over to Dalakwa, and we're gonna go into our next session, where it's just basically crowdsourcing. And then if you have a one-on-one, we'll be moving you into the break rooms. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Lami, Ibukun, Kemi, Moji, Edith, and Yetunde for sharing your depth of knowledge, both personal and professional experiences. This has truly been an insightful workshop. So moving forward, right, this workshop has been recorded for your viewing pleasure. You can check on our YouTube page, it will be there. We are going to have a poll going on right now. If you're on Zoom, the poll should be at the bottom of your screen. Can we have the poll coming up? We want to hear from you. Kindly provide us with feedback from today's session. How did we do? What did you enjoy about the session? This is important for our growth and to also serve you better. Is the poll live now?
Sorry, the poll is not live. We're just gonna have to go without the poll for now.
All right, do without the poll. Okay, we're gonna do without the poll, that's fine. Something I want us to think about today, write down one thing you have learned from this workshop that you will be implementing into your resume into your life, into your business, into your career, you can put that in the chat box. I'm moving right along. I'm going to be talking about some announcements that we have. And the first announcement is our EPR Business Directory. Teamwork makes the dream work. That is why the EPR Business Directory has been created to help share and showcase the businesses that you have. Your information is safe with us. It will not be sold. This is strictly internal. It is for us to leverage on each other's strengths, our skills, and businesses within this network and help each other grow. In addition, if you're in an industry where innovation and potential growth are emerging, kindly register in the business directory. Okay, I am going to put the link now in the chat. All right, so I just posted the link now in the chat so that you can join us. Thank you so much. Our webinars are monthly and they are held every third Saturday of the month by the grace of God. However, next month, we're starting a new initiative called EPR Women's Network Tea Party, which will be held on Saturday, July 18th. Details on that will be sent to you soon. So please stay tuned and don't forget to invite someone. In addition, the EPR Women's Network Instagram live series, Inspiring Conversations, is also held on Saturdays. This is where EPR Women's Network leaders in their respective fields share their stories, their journeys, and how they are living out their purpose. Kindly join us next Saturday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Instagram at Esther's Preparation Room to join us. Another important thing that we do is Command the Week. Command the Week. Every Monday morning, Esther's Preparation Room women gather together to jumpstart the week with a 30-minute intense prayer session to declare the word of the Lord and enforce victory in all spheres of life and also on our nation. Join us and commit to be a part of this session. We're also live on Instagram. The time is 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The call. Every Saturday, Esther's Preparation Room women gather to intercede and stand in the gap for the church and the nations. This is held on Saturdays at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please follow us on all our social media handles on YouTube, Telegram, Instagram at Esther's Preparation Room. Thank you so much. Moving right along. So based on what we've done today, right, as an incentive, we have 3 one-hour coaching sessions, which will be given at a discounted cost of $25. The regular cost is $250. Basically, the $25 cost will be donated to EPR Ministry. This type of coaching sessions cost $250, like I stated initially. In order to claim this session, an email must be sent to eprglobal.us@gmail.com. I'm going to repeat it again. In order to claim the session, an email must be sent to eprglobal.us@gmail.com within the next 48 hours, and we'll reach out to you. Also, please note that this is based on a first come, first served basis. So basically, you want to have a one-on-one coaching session with our subject matters expert. This is your opportunity to do so. So coming next, we're going to start our one-on-one sessions. They're going to begin right now. However, if you did not signify, you can join us to engage in the discussion in the waiting room. We encourage you to stay on to join us for an in-depth conversation concerning our careers. Thank you so much. All right. Okay, so the breakout rooms should be starting right about now.
The breakout room has started.
Oh,
so
awesome.
You can go ahead and just ask questions. One of the things that we, yes?
Can you move me back into the breakout room?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So one of the things that we wanted to do was show a LinkedIn page and to just see what's wrong with that page. So I'm just going to switch over to that LinkedIn, and the link for the LinkedIn is also, I'm going to put it on that. So if you want to go to that LinkedIn page yourself, but I'm going to share the LinkedIn page and then we can just talk about it. What's wrong with that LinkedIn page? We all have a LinkedIn page. And if you don't have a LinkedIn page, you should have a LinkedIn page, and what's wrong with it. So give me a second.
All right.
Delacroix, you can go ahead. I'm just gonna.
Okay, I was actually talking, but I was still on mute. I was saying that while you're working on the LinkedIn page, I just wanted us to continue the conversation in the chat room. What are some of the things that you learned today that you didn't know before? Any new insights? Was there any groundbreaking suggestion, any groundbreaking ideas, thoughts that came to your mind during today's session?
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, this is Hedrick. So, well, today's session, I like the criteria of that cultural intelligence, cultural thing. So, I guess we should add that in our resume. And also, the takeaway I would like here is that once you say that to write something specific to the COVID, like you could say, I can handle pressure, because I reflected back on resume and thought that these things are missing in my resume. So, I guess that was a very good takeaway.
Oh, that's great feedback. Thank you so much. Thank you for that. Lami, were you able to get the LinkedIn page up?
No, can you share your LinkedIn page, please?
All right. While we're getting the LinkedIn page going on, I have a question. What are the 10 things not to say in a job interview? Do you have any, has anyone experienced any interviewing sessions whereby you said something you weren't supposed to say? I want us to move into that session, 10 things not to say in a job interview. And let's get the conversation moving in on that. So personally, I once interviewed for an organization, and one of the things that I learned, well, not that I learned, but I knew, was not to speak badly about my previous employer. And during the course of the interview, I noticed that the interviewer kept asking me, why was I so intense on leaving my previous employer? And I had only good things to say. And the interviewer kept asking me, you mean you never had a bad experience? And I said, I mean, of course you'll have bad experiences, but that doesn't affect my view of the company as a whole. You know, the people that create or cause the bad experience, they're not a full representation of the company as a whole in general. So that was just something interesting that I learned, that an interviewer will actually press on to find out why I wasn't bad mouthing my previous employer. Do you guys have any experiences? Have you had any instances whereby you did bad mouth your previous employer?
Okay. Hello.
Hello?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, this is Oluwakemi Akinobie, right?
Yes,
I can hear you very well. Thank you.
Okay, yes. I've got lots of experiences doing interviews that the employers will not get back to me, okay? And I had to one day sit down and I thought about it, that why won't an employer get back to me? So on one occasion, I stumbled on one of the potential employers at an event. And we had a chit chat and he told me the reason why he didn't call me back. And I remember that during that interview, like you said, I spoke evil about my previous employer. And that was one of the main reasons why he didn't call me back. Okay, so and I went back to my drawing table and I had to I tell myself that the next interview that I will go for, I will ensure that I say minimal things about my past employer. And also I would ensure that my reasons are best known to me and not attached to any organization that I've previously worked. Okay, that's number one for me. And number two is I've realized that a lot of times we talk about the things that we have achieved on our jobs. Beautiful is okay. But most importantly, I think we should talk about the values that we want to bring on the table at any interview that we go for. Because when you talk about the values that you've given your previous organization, then you can talk about those values when you come for a job interview, than you talking about just the normal things you do. Not just your job description, but the impact, the achievement, the key achievements that you had on your previous job is very important. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that awesome contribution, Oluwakemi Akinubi. And I'm glad that you were able to learn from your experience. Sometimes this experience is the best teacher, and you also had the opportunity to actually meet with the recruiter, right? The interviewer. You had that opportunity to ask why you weren't called back. So I think that's a great feedback on your end. Lami, can we do the LinkedIn?
You should be able to see the LinkedIn page now.
I see it. I can see it. Can everybody see the LinkedIn page? Please type yes in the chat box. And thank you so much. I say the yeses. Thank you so much. For the individuals that have signed up to be in the rooms, do not worry. Once it's your turn, you will be shuffled into the room, all right? You will be taken into the breakout room session. Thank you. Right now, we're just engaging. We're learning from each other right now. All right, Lami, over to you on this LinkedIn profile.
So basically, we're just trying to see what's wrong with this LinkedIn. What's going on here? Can you we have Esther EPR. She has her picture up. She has her contact info, experience, education. And so what do you see is wrong with this? And you can unmute yourself and just say what you, let's be interactive and just say something.
There's no engagement.
Oh, thank you. That's Ayobami Awe, right?
Yes.
Yes. So how would you have put that? What would you have put in this?
I believe that LinkedIn has like a format where you can put in your work responsibilities, like your duties, and maybe your skills. I think if you can scroll down, so basically she just has like her job title there, doesn't really detail her experience in those roles, in her role. So I think add in more information, add in a professional summary just for recruiters or LinkedIn people to know what she's all about and what she does.
Exactly. So we're just Eva Cohen, HR specialist, basically already told us that we need a summary, right? So there's no summary here. It just says financial analyst at EPR Network. That's it. So we need a summary in this part here. And then, like you said, no details about the work. yeah, you were a financial analyst, but what did you do? What did you do? There's nothing in there. And also one of the things that I see now, and LinkedIn actually has this, is that, you know, they actually have like exams that you can take to make sure that your skills and endorsements are prominent. So if you're like, you can say, I'm good at Microsoft Word or whatever, there's an exam that you can take that says, oh, 90% proficient in this skill. So it's not just that putting your skills here, there will be another link that would say LinkedIn 90% expert, you know, and those are the things that recruiters are looking for, because they want to say, they don't want to have to do the hard work, right? And many of the times, one of the things that we have noticed is that 70% of billionaires are on LinkedIn. So if you're not on LinkedIn, get on LinkedIn, right?
Sorry, Lami. I see here that F Abidemi posted in the chat group that there's no summary/introduction.
Yes, that's exactly what Ayobami said. And that's something that you need, because that's the first thing that they go to. And that's what all the HR subject matter experts have told us. That's the first look that they see. They don't want to go through your whole LinkedIn profile sometimes. They don't want to go into and see everything that you're talking about. They want to first say, okay, before I even go into this, is this somebody I want to associate myself with? Is this somebody I want to call? So that's why your summary is so important. And again, keep it detailed but specific. Now, one of the things about LinkedIn that is different from a resume is that a resume is tailored to that specific job, right? Your LinkedIn is tailored to so much more than that. So as detailed as you can get it, it needs to be detailed, basically. You need to put in as much information as possible in your LinkedIn profile, because recruiters are looking at, that's what recruiters look at, you know, before. Sometimes you don't even need to apply for a job. They look at your LinkedIn profile and then they contact you. So your LinkedIn profile is very important. It needs to be extremely detailed. However, you can tailor it. So if you are looking for a specific job at a specific moment, and you know, this is my window of opportunity, tailor it like a resume, right? Tailor your LinkedIn to show specifics about that job that you're looking for. And I'll just leave it open to the group again. Like, what else do you see?
Hello.
Delacqua, can you
Hello?
help me, man? Yes, can you guys hear me?
I think Harriet is trying to respond.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
Harriet, we're listening to you.
Yeah, so I think there had to be some endorsements or some recommendations. Maybe your friends or some of your colleagues, you could ask that someone could endorse, because I think that increases your visibility. Like if we endorse the stars, so I guess that should be an important part.
Okay. So basically there's no endorsement, so endorsement will definitely include visibility.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much, Batia. Anything else? Is
I mean,
Chichi on?
We're talking about endorsements. That's one of the things that we try to do is leverage your group. Your endorsements does not have to be somebody that is like working with you, right? It might just be your friend of yours that knows who you are. The more that they see that people are endorsing you in that specific skill, you know, you have to know how to leverage LinkedIn, right? So the more people see that, oh, she's good in Microsoft, you know, Excel. There are 8 people that have endorsed her. That means she must be good at it, right? So leverage your network to endorse you and endorse other people. That's actually the best way to get endorsed. Endorse other people and then they will endorse you. Any more suggestions?
Also, well, personally, I don't see any articles, reposts, or sharing. The LinkedIn profile is so basic, it doesn't really say much about the individual, what their interests are. Does anybody have anything to add to this?
I mean, from her LinkedIn, it would see that she's not really active on LinkedIn, because once you're active, you make some comment or you post something. So all such is visible on your profile page itself. So which shows that how much active you are. And I also feel one very important point, the number of connections. So I guess that's also hold weightage on your LinkedIn profile.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much. Also, I
Thank you.
just want to let everyone know that if you're scheduled to be in a breakout room, do not worry. You will be, Lami is going to actually take you into the breakout room session once it's your turn. All right?
Okay, can I give one contribution to the LinkedIn profile?
Yes, Kemi, go ahead.
Okay. A lot of time I see people, like the profile she has shown to us is one that has no engagement, like Ayobami said. And another important point is you having networks on LinkedIn. I'm an HR practitioner. How many people do I have under my network? How many networks have I joined? And how many of them do I contribute to? Okay. And also, I see that there are no posts. Maybe there are posts behind, maybe at the back end, I can't see any. But you can't tell me you are a customer service person and there is no post that you have written, either is one line or 2 lines about customer service. And like you said earlier, that LinkedIn is beyond your resume, it's beyond you just giving the first information about yourself. It talks about your whole life, because employers will go on your LinkedIn and they will see the things that you're engaged in. They will see, okay, aside our work, what else does she do? It is not like Facebook, yes, but when you go on your page, you can, when an employer goes on your page, the person is able to say that, okay, this person knows what she's talking about. And that in its sense goes a long way for employers to make decisions on time and to say that this is a potential candidate for the job. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kemi. Thank you. I think at this point, I would like to engage Chichi. Esimai? Chichi? Hi, okay. So I just want to pick your brain on, we've been talking about interviews, we've been talking about resumes, what would you add to the current conversation that we're currently having?
Hi, everybody. First of all, I just want to say the fact that you showed up here speaks a lot to you being really ahead of the pack. And I just wanted to encourage everybody here. And I just want to share just one story that could possibly help, even if it's just one person. And one thing I wanted to say, Ibukun kind of mentioned that, is do not be afraid to market yourself. I remember right after graduate school, I was really hesitant to go to the next thing that was expected of me because I didn't think it was a great fit. And I was just thinking and just, asking a lot of people, what do you think I'm good at? What do you believe I could really lend my skills to? And I realized that I kept coming back to this company that had actually helped me during grad school. I had interfaced with a lot of their team members, and I realized that I actually wanted to work for them. It was in a great niche.
Hello, Chichi. I think we lost you. I think we lost you based on connection. All right, so we'll come back to that. We'll come back to Chichi. I have another point I want to point out in regards to 10 things you should avoid saying during an interview. And one of them is, I don't know. I don't know. I need your engagement here. How many times has an interviewer asked you a question and you came back with, I don't know? Anyone want to speak on that?
Hello.
Hello.
This is Hilda. Good evening, everybody.
Hi, Hilda. Good evening. How are you doing today?
I'm fine, thank you. I've been in situations where questions have been asked of me at interviews, even though I don't know the answer. I think I learned quite early on to that saying I don't know is not an option. So in such scenarios, I just make up something. I just say, well, I'm not too sure what you want, what you expect me to say, but this is what I think you want to know. And I just I branch out into something that kind of brings me back to what they asked me. Saying I don't know is never an option in my dictionary. I just wanted to drop that in there.
Thank you so much, Hilda, for that contribution. Anybody else?
Hey, can you guys hear me now?
Oh yes, Chichi is back on. All right, we
Sorry
can
about
hear you.
that. I'm not really sure what happened, but just to really again encourage somebody, I essentially walked into the office and spoke to one of the team leaders, and I asked for a job. And it was a very strange conversation because he kept assuring me that there was no job available. And I kept assuring him that they actually did need my skills, but I kept asking them, what is it that you need? What is it that you're looking for? What are some pain points for the organization? And if there's one thing I want to encourage somebody, one, know the culture of the company you want to work for, but also don't be afraid to ask managers, leaders within that company, what are some of the struggles of your organization? If time and money were no object, how can you move the organization forward? And so he gave me 5 different things that they were thinking of doing. And they were like, if we could do these 5 things, that would be great. And I asked, what was your timeline? And he told me the timeline. And I said, I would love the opportunity to help out in these strategic areas if given the chance. And so he said, okay, well, do you have a resume? I said, well, I can get one to you. And he asked, well, how much do you charge? And I said, I will let you know. Because I hadn't done the research on how much such a position would actually cost. So they ended up asking me to write the description of the job. So they asked me to write the job description. They asked me to set the salary. And they asked me, really, what do you need to get these strategic initiatives going? Not every job will be like that, but I want you to be confident in the skills that you've already practiced, as Ibukun mentioned. Moji also mentioned, Edith also mentioned, everybody has mentioned, you need to know what you've done and don't be afraid to market that. And I did get the job. I did write the job description. 48 hours later, they interviewed me, but they had already interviewed me. And I was able to track the progress of those milestones. And by the end of what ended up being a very short-term consulting position for this company, I was able to track their return on investment by hiring me at the salary that they hired me at. So don't be afraid to put yourself out there, and don't be afraid to create a position if there doesn't seem to be a position that does exactly what you want. I believe it was either Ibukun or Moji that mentioned it, or it might have been Edith. Don't be so afraid that you wouldn't, intern yourself. Ideally, it would be a paid internship, and ideally you can fight for that. But it was essentially an internship position after years of grad school, and I wanted to branch out into a different area. So there was no risk because, nobody was doing the job. And so it was a new position, and it actually ended up being a position that they kept, and it was fantastic. So if anybody has any questions about that, I can talk about that or share a little bit more. But just to encourage you, you have probably done more than you think you have. Just sit down, reflect on your experiences, and by being in this session, going back and watching the video, I myself will go back and watch the video, fine tune yourself, upskill if you need to, level up, and put yourself out there.
Wow, thank you so much, Chichi, for sharing. Wow. Not only did you demand, you also asked, and you also asked the company, what do you want? What do you need? And you kept on asking. That's what the Bible says in, Matthew 7:7. Ask, knock. That's very important. And also, you also had confidence in yourself and your skills, and you did not sell yourself short. So basically, not only did you create your own job description, you also set the price, the amount you wanted to get paid for that kind of job. That's great. Does anyone have any contributions? Anyone else has something to add to what Chichi just said? All right. So the next thing, oh, hello.
Hello, good evening.
Hi, Adebola Goke.
Yeah, good evening.
Good
I
evening.
would like to share my experience regarding what to say and not to say during a job interview. I can remember I went for a job interview and for the position of an HR manager. Is a new title, a new position, and I have not worked in that position. I mean, as an HR manager before, and I just finished my ACIPM program. Okay, I was doing the last. I was at the last stage, so I was just like, oh, I've never worked as an HR manager, and I've not had experience as an HR manager, but I've worked all the while as an HR admin, something like that. So based on that, the employer capitalized on that, and the pay he was supposed to pay was smaller than what he should or I should have been paid based on what I said. And in the turn, after I started working, and I started giving my professional advice, as an HR, let's put this like this, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. But because it's a sales company and because it's not in line with what they want, most employers, they don't want to pay, especially when it comes to paying more for the employee. And there's this thing they used to say that HR like to support the employees, that they don't support the employer. So I was just like, by the time I started giving the advice, okay, let's do it this way, let's do it this way, let's do it this way. They were like, hey, besides, you can't just come and HR, you have not worked in this capacity before. We are just giving you opportunity. So you need to dance to our tone. You need to do. I said, come. This is what is expected. This is what we are supposed to do. The law of the land is this way. The labor law says this, and we have to follow it. They were now saying, no, you can't tell us that. How much can we get? How much can that get us? Sales, an employer always wants to get profit, even when it is obvious the profit is not, they are not working for it, but they want to get it at all costs. The KPI you are setting is too high. The performance scales you are setting is too high. Let's do this. It's just that they were not ready to hear. So I now sat back, I said, okay, what is the problem? Then I realized it's because of what I said during the interview. That is why I was having those challenges. So I now said, okay, as a professional, if you are giving your professional advice, even if it will cost you saying that, oh, I have to drop my pay, you have to, else you'll be relegated, and before you know it, you'll be dancing to their tune, and you will not be a professional that you ought to be. So the lesson I learned is never say, I don't know. Never say, I don't have experience. Even if you don't have the level of experience they expect of you, never say it to an employer that you don't have that level of experience. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Adebola. I think that's a key thing. That's an integral part for everyone here to learn. We don't say we don't know. We find a way around it. We can do all things through Christ that strengthens us. I see that Ayo Olashege has raised up his hand. So Ayo, if you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Good morning from LA here. I'm actually joining you guys for the first time. It's really a very cool and a very good environment to discuss. I'm not in HR. I'm in accounting. And I would like to, there was a question that I raised to Moji, but the question wasn't called. So I would like Moji to help me to answer that. But I've interviewed a lot of people. I want to believe that when you get to the point of all this, I don't know, maybe it's about HR before you get to people like us in the department. Because I'm not expecting you to say, I don't know. And someone also actually gave a good answer when I'm interviewing people, I don't expect that you know everything. Actually, if you know everything, you get me worried. Like maybe you've actually doctored everything, like there's no one like you. I'm expecting that. I like to see the sincerity of someone in an interview. But if you don't know, I'm not expecting to just say, I don't know, and you keep your mouth shut. I'm expecting you to, like someone said, to pivot around your strength. Even if you don't know what I'm saying, you can tell me, okay, I'm not really, I'm not really sure of your question, but this is what I can do, or something like that. But what I want Moji to help me answer is this. You said that our education background doesn't have to be the next thing after the objective. But we have some organizations that they are so much particular about the school that you're coming from. I'm not saying about a fresh graduate now. I'm talking in terms of, I've been in so many organizations that they're probably not going to go to some schools for interviews, right? But let's say that this is not an entry-level position and you want to come in maybe as a manager or senior manager, and if you're saying, I know that your experience really matters, where should someone like that put his educational background? Thanks.
Okay, can I go ahead, Dolapo?
Yeah, please go ahead. The
Okay.
question is for you.
All right. So the reason why I said that you shouldn't put your education after the summary is because you have the experience. In as much as it's not all companies that look at schools, in as much as I hate to admit it, but yes, you have some companies that they would not hire people, so you're very right, that would not hire people from certain schools. However, you want to put in that case, if you're applying to those kind of companies, like I said, you want to tailor your resume to suit whichever job you're applying for. That's what, if that is how if that is what they want, you give them what they want. So, and that is one of the reasons why I say you never have a generic resume. So if that is how they, that is what they want, that's what they're looking for, you give that to them. So you put that in there so it will attract them. It might not attract you. You might go to someone and they'll be like, you don't have the experience. But for those kind of companies, I would advise that, yes, you do that. That's one of the reasons I always say never have a generic resume, because what this person is looking for will be different from what that person is looking for. And another thing is, I heard you when you were talking about the hire. I hope that, was I able to answer that? Okay, all right. And I also heard you when you were saying when you're interviewing people and all of that. So just for anyone who is also on the line, whenever you're going for an interview, whenever you're doing your resume, you're developing your resume, it is work. You have to put in the work. You have to do your research. You have to find out about the company. You have to find out about the hiring manager. You go and look them up, find out what they do. What are the things that interest them? Like if someone is interviewing with Ayo, you might be able to find out on his LinkedIn profile that he doesn't expect you to know all the answers. So don't go in there telling him all the answers, because he will be worried. So you want to do your research. You want to go and find out. I'm not saying you should. But just do your research and find out about it before you go in there. So when you're meeting the person, you're like, oh, this is the person that has so and so degree, so and so this. So these are the things that will appeal to this person. So I know how to speak to that, and to be able to sell myself to that kind of person. So
thank you so much, Moji. I have a question here in the chat from Laura, and she's basically asking, how do you go about negotiating your pay with HR? And the second question, how do you nicely turn down an offer if you receive a better one? Moji, do you want to answer that?
Okay, that's fine. Negotiation, that is a skill that you need to develop. Whatever, trust me, but whatever HR offers you the first time, always reject it, because there is room for more. That is what there is always room for more, except if it's, say for instance, like for the state of Maryland now, there is nothing hidden. You can go online and you find out the salary range. So that way, and then you look for what is very convenient for you. So if say for instance, the range, and most job descriptions, they always put that there. You never want to shoot yourself in the foot by accept, even if it's way beyond what you want. Say you're requesting, what you want is 70 and they're offering you 80 and you're so excited, go and ask for 90. That is what I'll tell you. Ask for 90. Let them tell you that this is the best they can do. That way you know that, yes, I got the best. Because at the end of the day, one of the things, I'm smiling as I'm saying this, because one of the things HR, what we try to do is we also try to save costs. At the end of the day, we try to save costs and go like, oh, we could have hired this particular professional for hundreds of thousands, but I got the person in for 80, 90 and all of that. It's, yeah, that is one of the ways that we get to, save costs. So if they give you way beyond what you want, always just push in and let them tell you that is the best they can do before you accept it as the final. Sorry, I didn't get the other question.
So the second question was basically Laura saying, how does she turn down an offer nicely if she receives a better one?
Just the way you've just said it. I'm telling you, I have, like recently, I hired someone on her first day. When she came in on her first day, she told me she was leaving. She got a better offer. And one of the things that we could do is look at the offer and see if we could counter it. So you just say it in a very nice way. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I am very glad, but based on this and that, whatever reasons they are, I would be going with it because it's a better offer. It's, say, for instance, the transportation or the distance and all of that. You just want to give those very professional reasons, and not because you walked in the office the other day and you saw someone that you didn't like, but just professional reasons, and you just want to put that there. And so that just next time they might need you and all of that, but you never want to burn any bridges, like we always say. You never want to do that. So you just want to keep it professional, just the way you said it. And if they really want you, they might ask you, what is the company offering? And if they can counter it, you got yourself, because you tell them, I'm only going to come if you're going to pay me more than what these people pay me,
Why not? Thank you. I have another question. Okay.
Sorry, Doc. Well, I want to ask a question to Mujir about that particular salary range. But I feel like sometimes you can price yourself out of a job, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, especially in my profession, where they don't give, you the salary range. Most of the time, when you're looking at a job, there's no salary range, and they're looking for, okay, who's gonna, like you said, they want to get the cheapest person. How do you go about giving your salary requirements?
Okay, so good enough. I'm sure back when I was a baby, you couldn't find out about people's salary, but right now you can find, there is nothing you can't find. So like I said, you have to do your research. It is work. You have to put it in. You have to find out how much. And I think you have Career Builders, you have some other sites like that where you could find out the salary range of particular positions in particular locations. So you have that you have that as your weapon, even if you do not have the specific amount they're they're offering in that company, but you have that range. So you want to play within that range. Like you just want to find out. You don't want to underprice yourself, like you said, because there's some positions when you go in and they see your resume and they've interviewed you and they ask you, how much do you want? And you're telling them 60,000 and they're looking at you like, 60,000? People in this position will ask for 100 and you're asking for 60. And they'll be like, probably maybe she doesn't know what she's talking about. So you want to put in, so once you find out that you want to play within that range. If it's a job that you really want, say you just want it for the experience, not because of the money, you might just stay you just want to stay in the midpoint. So you're not undershooting yourself and you're not overpricing yourself. Does that answer your question, Lami?
Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lami. Thank you, Moji. So, Moji, I have another question for you here, and this has to do with a resume. And basically, Olajumoke is saying, I was advised to put education at the bottom without the year I finished.
Okay.
Can you?
I'm sorry if I'm gonna ask if it's gonna sound funny, but and I remember Ibukun was saying something like that. Different resumes applies for different parts of the world. You know, the way they write resume in Dubai, I remember it will be different from the way it's been drafted in the US or in the UK or in Nigeria. At least I know in the US here, we're all supposed to be equal opportunity employers. So your year of finish and all of that really doesn't matter. But for countries like Nigeria and all of that, they use it to gauge your age. So it depends on what part of the country you're applying to or you're from. So that I might not be able to answer that, except if you could give that to say what part of the country, because I know here in the US, it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If you like finish yesterday, if you finish today, as long as you have the bachelor's degree, it really doesn't matter. But I know in Nigeria, they use it to gauge your age, and you know, everybody wants people who are younger and not aged and all of that. So it will depend. So
she's based in the US actually.
Oh, I see there. I'm based in the US, so I don't know. You really don't have to put your year of, you don't have to put that in. You don't have to put it in. You have your bachelor's degree, that's all. And because at the end of the day, they're still going to verify. They're still going to verify your bachelor's or your master's. It's still going to be verified. So you really don't have to put that there. It's not really necessary.
Thank you.
Except if the company is asking though. Some companies their need might be different, but generally speaking, it's not really needed, but except if the company's asking, so you really don't have to.
Okay. So I have another question here, and the question is basically, would you rescind a job offer to someone based on their salary ask?
Would I rescind a job offer based on, so if they're asking for way too much beyond the budget or under?
We can go both ways.
Okay, so if you're asking yeah. If you're asking for what is beyond my budget, I'm sorry, gotta let you go. Move on to the next candidate, you know? So that's why I always say you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot. You always want to make sure you're within the midpoint and not overpricing yourself or underpricing yourself. And I also gave the example of when you underprice yourself, it tells the recruiter like, maybe you don't really know what is happening. You really don't know what is needed, you know, because, you know, or maybe you've just been, and so they start second guessing your experience, they start second guessing everything, and they might find one very silly reason to back out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much, Moji. Thank you so much. So we're about to close, and I just want us to have like a few words from our HR SME. I know some of them are still in the rooms, but we have, Moji has just been giving us great nuggets of wisdom. So we have Kemi and Edith back with us. So can you guys give us like one-liners or 2 sentences about what we can take away from this?
Edith, you want to go first so I can close out?
Okay. Kemi, can you be here?
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. I said, Edith, do you want to go ahead? You need to go off mute though.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I think we've heard a lot today. Ibukun talked about a lot of things around reskilling yourself, talked about applying your brand. As you think about your next steps, whatever that looks like for you, I will say 3 things. Be bold. And 2, think about the different skills and experiences that you bring and how it differentiates you from other people. If there's some skills you want to learn, spend a lot of the time that, you know, now registering. Like I said, I think the session we had in May, there's a lot of resources, free resources online to leverage in terms of learning. The third point I will make is around volunteer experience is very important, and, you know, and it's really a great way, particularly for those of us who are starting out in our careers, to really build your resume. There's a lot of opportunity to volunteer. So take advantage of those now to help build your resume. You get a lot of leadership skills and experience from that. And even for those of us who are, more, I would say we've gone further in our careers, it's a great way to test out leadership skills that you might not have the opportunity to use in organizations, because a lot of those become what you would use as your business ideas. I always say from volunteering comes ideas to grow your business in future, if that's something you're interested in. But be bold and test out new waters. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Edith.
you. Hello?
Sorry, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much, Edith. That was amazing. Thank you to all our speakers. I think the one thing I will say is we've heard a lot today. We've received a lot of powerful information. Some of us received one-on-one coaching sessions where you got some personalized help for you. I wanted to encourage you to invest in yourself, get some help. If you're looking for a job, you're not sure about how to go about it and everything, get somebody to help you and invest in yourself, invest time. Sometimes you have to pay to get a coach or somebody to guide you through the process so you can go in the right direction. This is something that a lot of us don't think we need to do. You might need to pay for some, resources, the same way you pay to get trained. So I just want to encourage you. We've heard a lot, we have to practice a lot and everything, but sometimes it's when you just take that extra step to invest in yourself and say, let me just get that structured support to help me get to where I need to get to. And that will make a huge difference. And again, for some of us, I know some of us probably are going to be signing up for the one-on-one coaching sessions. We have a couple of offerings, 1 hour sessions each. So if you send an email to us, eprglobal.us, right, at gmail.com, if you can send that to us, we will, you're able to get one of the 3 sessions. It's just $25 for a donation to EPR Women's Network. So we'll look forward to supporting you, because there's a lot to do when it gets to that one-on-one insight that we can provide to you, or any other person that you decide to get support from. So Lami, did you want me to close out or good to go?
Please, yeah, you can go right ahead and close out. Thank you.
Well, please, before you close that, I just want to acknowledge the men on our team right now. Ayo Olashege, Ismael Olashege, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for being bold, speaking up, and participating. We really appreciate you.
And to our super SMEs, super experts, oh my God, I've learned so much from everyone. Thank you so much. And to our host, Dolapo, Lami, thank you so much for just making this work so smoothly. We really, really appreciate your time and effort. And again, we have an offering every month. EPR Women's Network has an offering every month. So look out for more information. You will receive a follow-up email within the next, I guess, 24 to 48 hours on with the recording of this session. You will receive more information about us. So we look forward to having you at one of our future sessions. So again, thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend and all the best as you navigate and try to take on those new opportunities that are out there for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.